Did you and Mr. Hove enjoy your walk into town this afternoon?
Have you noticed how the light drops and then returns?
I can't say that I have.
Not yet, but last night in our room, just before the mirror shattered, suddenly an icy cold, and then the lights almost went out.
Expect, Mrs. Hove, that it is because you are unused to gas. It does tend to go up and down.
Among the first we were in Manchester to be electrified.
Manchester, Edmund. Our little house. Oh, our little nest.
Always a wrench. Moving. Something you'll have to face soon, my dear, when we are married.
It's quite unusual in the country to have it at all. The gas, I mean. My late aunt spent a great deal of money laying it on.
Should have waited for the electric.
Afraid, Mr. Hove, that had my aunt done so, we might be eating this meal by candlelight. Oh, dear. Oh, no, please. Oh, I'm so sorry. The catch on the window must have given way again. I did ask the gardener to look at it for me, but he's so deaf. Heavens! I mean, well, something must have fallen over.
Better let me go first, Monica, just in case.
In case of what, Norman? It's nothing, I tell you. Nothing that can't be explained.
Oh, Edmund. Edmund. All my beautiful clothes.
Gone, Bella. They're gone.
What?
He's right, Mrs. Hove. The wardrobe's empty.
Oh, there you are. Look, they're all laid out.
Oh!
What the heck?
Cut to shreds, Edmund. It's a sign. They mean to murder us. Well, that's it. That's it. I'm leaving. I'm not going to stay in this house another night. It is haunted.
But Bella, we paid for the fortnight.
You stay.
What about our things?
Who? Why?
Why? I think you may safely assume that someone wishes you to leave the Red House, my dear.
Don't touch. It's glass, Tommy. Don't want blood on the Christmas tree now, do we?
Oh, I don't know. Might be rather suitable for a detective agency. Blunt's Bloody Bureau.
Tommy.
Sorry, our thing got carried away.
Yes, well, perhaps you'd carry this away. We've a client due any moment and Albert's not back yet to show her in. Oh, how sad. I remember every Christmas at the vicarage I used to help Father hang these. There used to be 12.
Well, cheer up. Still got 11 left.
9.
Oh, you?
No, Albert. He insisted on helping me start. There's a Valentino season at the Rex Picture House, and you know the phase he's going through.
Tango dancer.
You know he's seen blood and sand every night this week. He came in, he picked up an ornament, did a violent turn, letting it fly out of his hand as though it had a life of its own.
Oh, hello, sir. Miss Thomas. I got the tea and some sandwiches. Turkey, very nice.
I gave you £1/crown, I think.
And I'll give you 9pence. Senorita.
Is it going to be Mr. Valentino all through Christmas, Albert? If so, I don't think I can stand it.
Sorry, miss. It's just that the films are so real. Much more colourful than life. Why?
Oh, and here you are at the very centre of one of Britain's most celebrated detective agencies. Really, Albert, how can you be so ungrateful?
Oh, it's not that, sir. Well, I realise only too well how important my work is here. But when I see Rudolph Valentino grab Nita Nodi and sweep her into that fiery tango, well, they're so reckless.
Precisely.
Hardly seasonal, though, Albert. Dreaming of sun and sand when it's more likely to be snow and sleet outside. Now is the time of year for spirits to fill the night air. Tales by the chimney breast. Ghosts of time past.
And predictions for the future. We used to play that at the vicarage when I was a child. You'd write something down you thought might happen, seal it, And not open it again until the following Christmas.
I say, what a wait.
Oh, only the first year, Tommy.
Let's do one now, Mom. You write something down and I'll write it until next year.
I'll do better than that. I'll predict something that's imminent.
Cool.
I was always rather good at this sort of thing. I predict that our next client will be a clergyman's daughter.
How did you know?
Mr. Blunt, I've always believed myself to be a reasonably logical, sane person. Yet circumstances are beginning to force me to the conclusion that my home may be haunted.
You mean you've seen a ghost, Miss Dean?
Well, not seen exactly, heard. Terrible crashing, crockery flying across the room, pictures falling, the lights going up and down.
A poltergeist.
Excuse me?
That's what they're called. Sort of evil spirits that play tricks.
Oh,
I think, Miss Dean, if we could begin at the beginning.
such a rambling story. Let's see. My father was rector of Little Hampsley in Suffolk. 3 years ago he died. My mother and I were left very badly off.
Come in.
I believe a cup of tea was requested, sir.
Yes, Albert, will you kindly hand it to Miss Dean? And that will be all.
Yes, sir.
Please, continue, Miss Dean.
Well, at first I went out to work as a governess, but my mother soon became a confirmed invalid. I had to come home to look after her. We lived in tiny but expensive lodgings and were desperately poor. Until one day our fortune seemed to change. We received a lawyer's letter telling us that an aunt of my father's had died and had left everything to me. I'd often heard of this aunt who'd quarrelled with my father many years earlier and knew that she was very well off. So it really seemed our troubles were at an end. But matters didn't turn out quite as well as we hoped. I did inherit the Red House, which was where she lived, but after paying 1 or 2 small legacies she'd made, well, there was no money left to live on.
Yet you had believed your aunt to be rich.
Indeed I had, Mr. Blunt. I suppose she must have lost it during the war, or perhaps she'd just been living on the capital. Still, we had the house. It's a large, rambling place. The town is over a mile away, so we're quite remote, really. I suppose it's called the Red House because of the brick, although the locals tell more lurid tales.
You don't look to me the sort of girl who listens to village gossip, Miss Dean.
No, I just feel so, Oh.
Miss Robinson appears to have been rather carried away by your story.
Oh, how dreadful.
Quite all right.
Perhaps you could squeeze another cup out of Albert. You know how he listens to you, Mr. Blunt.
Oh, yes. Yes, I'll certainly try. If you'll excuse me.
Now, come on, Miss Dean. Out with it. Is it a man?
Could you know that?
Happens to everyone. Happened to me.
Oh,
Tell me about this man, Miss Dean.
well, you see there are 2 of them.
Oh, that didn't happen to me. I suppose one rich, one poor, and the poor one's the one you like.
I don't know how you know these things.
Sort of law of nature.
There's Norman, Mr. Partridge. He was with me the night the wardrobe overturned and the Hove's clothes were shredded. He's kind, considerate, and rich. A good man, I'm sure. If I married him, all our troubles would be over. It's just that...
You don't love him. Tell me about the one you do.
Gerald. He's a dear. Desperately poor, though a clever engineer. We came up today in his car. He made it himself. Well, I expect if you look out of the window, you'll be able to see him.
I understand your preference.
Here we are. Now then, Miss Dean, tell us what it is exactly that makes you suspect foul play of a more earthly order.
It's the offers I've had for the house.
To purchase?
Yes. Even before we moved, I received by letter a most generous offer. Then, shortly after we moved in, I was still varnishing the hall. We had decided that the only way we could keep on the house was by taking in paying guests. It was Crockett's day off, and I was desperately trying to finish off a loan before the first visitors arrived when...
Good afternoon. I've called to see your mistress. I wonder if you would inform her. My name is Smart. Percival Smart. Oh, still decorating, I see.
Mr. Smart, I am she, the owner of the house. Can I help you?
Ah, Miss Dean? Oh, I've been told the house is for sale, and I might be interested. Mind you, big place. Difficult to heat, I expect. Still.
Well, I'm afraid you've been misled.
I should be prepared to make a most generous offer, which, if invested wisely...
Mr. Smart, this house is not for sale. I intend to run it as a business proposition. My first guests arrive next week. Our first visitors were two couples. The Busbys had seen our advertisement in the Home Finder, and the young couple by the name of Cockwell, quite recently married, I suspected, had heard of us through friends. They'd all retired early. I read to Mother as usual and settled her down for the night. By the time I was ready to take her tray down, the church clock was beginning to strike 12. I heard some sound coming from the Cockwells' room as I passed, but nothing out of the ordinary. I was about halfway down the stairs when...
Whatever's happened, Miss Dean?
It's all right, Mr. Busby. There's nothing to worry about. They all left early next day. I could hardly charge them. And now there were the repairs to pay for as well. Upon inspection, it did seem as though the four-poster had been just cut through. It was after 3 more sets of guests had fled following similar happenings that I received my third offer for the house. A Dr. O'Neill called to see me, told me he was a member of the Society for Psychical Research, that he had heard about the curious manifestations at the house and was much interested in them. So much so that he wanted to buy the house in order to conduct a series of experiments there. At first I was thrilled and said so. He smiled broadly at me, and my blood ran cold.
What did you see?
His filling. A gold filling.
Yes.
Perhaps you'll think it fanciful of me, but
What?
it was the same man.
The same man, what?
The same man that wanted to buy it before. Mr. Smart. I remember quite clearly when he smiled at me. He had a gold filling in exactly the same place. Then I looked at his ears. They were just the same as Mr. Smart's, a peculiar shape with hardly any lobe. I'm sure I haven't made a mistake. It was the same man.
This Crockett that you've mentioned, Miss Dean, he's your butler?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't make it clear. No, Crockett is a she.
Ah.
She was with my aunt for about 8 or 10 years. A middle-aged woman, not always very pleasant in manner, but a good servant. she is inclined to give herself airs because her sister married out of her station. Crockett has a nephew who she's always telling us is quite the gentleman.
Come in.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Mr. Rush is inquiring on Miss Dean.
Gerald.
Gerald?
Gerald drove her up in his car, made it himself.
I see. Well, I think that's all for the moment, Miss Dean. Now remember, there's no need to be afraid anymore. Blunt's brilliant detectives are on the job now.
Thank you, Mr. Blunt. What a wait. There is just one thing.
Yes?
Your fee. I was wondering...
Oh, strictly on results. Now stop worrying. You've been through quite enough already.
Hadn't we better have Miss Dean's full address, Mr. Blunt?
Oh, of course. The Red House, Starton in the Marsh. When will you arrive?
Unexpectedly, Miss Dean. But remember, you have never met me before.
Either of us.
Oh.
But Miss Dean made no mention to me of a party staying over the Christmas.
That is a matter for you to take up with your employer. Her ladyship made the reservation personally. Here she is. And here she is likely to remain. Thinking of buying it, see?
This house?
The same.
But hasn't she heard
The
about...
poltergeist? Oh, yeah. You ask me, that's the reason she's so set on it. Funny woman. Oh, well, I'll be off to the station to collect her husband, Mr. Beresford.
Mr. Beresford? I thought you said she was Lady Grassmere.
That's right. Born to a title which she ain't letting go of for no marriage. Money's all is, though. Now, don't you forget, a pot of Earl Grey and plenty of hot water. Right away.
Now tell me again, Tommy, exactly as the bank manager told you.
That on the outbreak of war, Monica's aunt withdrew all her assets in gold and cash and brought them back here.
So they must be hidden on the premises.
Yes, and someone else knows it.
Which explains all the offers for the house. You surely don't think she would have hidden them under the mattress in the guest room?
Of course not, Goose.
Then what are you looking for?
An uneventful night's sleep. Last time this thing collapsed, Monica Dean said it appeared to have been cut through. I'm just making sure we don't suffer a repeat performance.
I'm very much afraid the 4 posters always have an effect on me.
Always.
I couldn't possibly permit an uneventful night in a 4-poster.
Tuppence, start concentrating that fertile mind of yours and finding this beastly treasure. Now, you're a woman.
A neglected one.
Nonsense. Anyway, you're far more likely than I to know where an old lady would hide things.
Same place as a young lady.
Tuppence, really? Talking of ladies, by the way, how is it that in our disguised form, I remain plain Mister whilst you assume a title?
I thought it a perfect opportunity to see how I might have felt had I married Graham.
You'll find a lot more to put up with married to Graham Grassmere than a title. A lot less, too, if my information is correct.
Tommy, you can be very cruel.
Aha. The clergyman's daughter has returned. She's in for another shock when she finds out who's arrived.
She's 25. I'm sure she'll manage.
Oh, look, there's Gerald. Isn't he adorable?
Hmm. Engaged, you say?
Not yet. That's our job.
I see.
Oh, Tommy, we must help them.
We'll certainly try.
We'll have to work fast. Once Crockett and that precious nephew of hers get their hands on this house, they'll turn it upside down till they find what they want.
Ah, good. Tea. Yes, but Tuppence, an old lady could hardly have dug holes in the garden or pulled up floorboards on her own.
I know, and she'd never have trusted anyone enough to help her. Tommy, there must be a clue amongst her possessions.
Oh, come on, old thing. I'm starving. Let's go and surprise our hostess.
From the very moment I entered your house, Miss
Dean.
Of course, Miss Dean, I felt as though I had come to rest. Although rest is hardly a word one would use to describe someone possessed. Perhaps accursed with psychic power.
Oh. Crockett, leave the tea. I'll pour the rest.
I mounted your staircase as though in a trance. And without knowledge, I was simply drawn to the room that we will now occupy. And all around me, I sensed the presence of an unhappy child, willful and full of spite, but in reality longing for eternal rest.
I say, old girl, Mrs. Patrick Campbell had better look to her laurels.
I thought you were wonderful. But why,
Oh, an impression created, seeds sown.
But surely you can't think that...
Have you ever met your servant's nephew, Miss Dean?
No? Oh.
10 to 1, he has a large gold filling in his tooth.
And possesses little earlobe.
Oh.
Now then, Miss Dean.
Monica.
Monica, can you tell me what became of your late aunt's personal belongings? Garments?
Well, there were only a few. Some were given to Crockett, the rest sent to various poor families. Everything has been gone through and turned out.
Papers? There must have been papers.
Yes, the desk was full and there were some in her drawer in her bedroom, but there were nothing of importance amongst them.
Have they been thrown away?
No, my mother is always very loath to throw away any old papers. There were some old-fashioned recipes amongst them which she intends to go through one day.
Good.
Was that gardener here in your aunt's time?
Oh, is it old Frank Mulberry? Yes, poor old fellow. He's past doing any really useful work. We have him in once a week just to keep things tidied. We can't afford more. He used to come 3 times.
Perhaps, Monica, if you will be good enough to collect up all your aunt's old papers for me, whilst we have a word with old Mulberry.
All along there it went, as far as you can see. They're all cockerels and peacocks, end to end. Deepest green you ever saw.
Green cockerels?
Topiary, like sculpture it were. Well, my speciality, my lady. Upper artist I was with them shears. But now all these old hands is good for is holding a glass of ale. When I can afford that.
The old lady was lucky to have you, Mulberry.
Ah, let the place go to rack and ruin they did once she were cold. And those boys from the council houses, they set fire to it. But I knows all their names.
Yes, but while she was alive, she must have depended on you totally.
Ah,
Everything that went on in the garden, all her little secrets shared with you.
maybe.
Like the unusual things she got you to bury for her. The box, for instance.
Box?
Yes, the box.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, let's see now. Box, you said?
Yes.
Afraid I can't help you there.
Why not?
'Cause I never buried no box, that's why not.
Oh, but I...
Potatoes, carrots, fine spring onions, plenty of them. But I never buried no boxes. They don't come up well, you see.
I say, Miss Dean, is anything the matter?
Partridge.
Beresford, my wife, Lady Grasmere.
Forgive me. I should have done that. Mr. Partridge is my financial advisor and good friend. Mr. Beresford and Lady Grasmere are house guests.
Oh, I didn't realize you'd be occupied. You're staying for Christmas?
That is written in the ethers, Mr. Partridge.
Lady Grasmere is a student of psychic phenomena, Norman.
Gracious me. Another one. You'll soon be charging admission, Monica.
We shall, of course, expect to pay the going rate for our stay, Mr. Partridge.
I shall be in touch with you shortly for your decision. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What is it? What's happened?
Norman tells me that the bank intends to foreclose on our loan. Within 2 weeks, our remaining funds will have disappeared.
Broke, eh?
And that, I take it, is a financially secure alternative to Gerald.
He's awfully clever with figures.
You know, be swift to tell a girl when she's none left to be clever with.
Wants me to marry him. What am I to do? Well, there's Mother to think of, and it's Christmas.
Get a grip, Monica. You're not alone anymore.
No. And we mean to get to the bottom of this case. Now then, have you collected together all your aunt's old papers for me?
Yes, I put them upstairs in your room. Oh!
If one garment is shredded...
The poltergeist up to its tricks again. Monica, fetch her quickly, please.
Not my clothes, Tommy, not my clothes. They're all hired and we'd never recover.
Not unless we've taken to wearing a jug and basin, my sweet. Your things are quite safe. Come, Lady Grasmere, settle yourself in here and await the vibrations.
This way, Crockett, please.
My wife is just returning.
I must have it. Tommy, we must purchase this property.
You see, confirmation. It looks as though you have definitely found a purchaser, Miss Dean. So kind of you to bring your housekeeper in. Now then, Crockett, as you may have gathered, my wife and I have decided to purchase the Red House. We should be delighted if you would consent to stay on and keep house for us.
Thank you, sir. I should like to think it over, if I may.
Certainly.
Will that be all, ma'am?
Thank you, Crockett.
I'll clear the tea things.
Of course.
So perhaps, Miss Dean, if you would be kind enough to inform the other bidder that the property is now sold.
Oh, but...
Forgive me, but I do know what he is offering. It's a good price. But I propose to offer £100 more.
Well... Oh, what is this talk of money? It must not be allowed to stand in the way of spiritual experience. The forces around us compel me to remain at all earthly costs.
Stow it, Dean.
Oh,
Coast
really?
clear.
Mr. Beresford, you've no consideration for an artist's finer feelings. Really, I was beginning to quite enjoy it.
Yes, I noticed.
I thought you were both first rate. But why did you want Crockett so sudden?
Just to make quite sure, Miss Dean. Monica, did you notice how out of breath she was? That proves that she's your poltergeist. Just had time to escape down the back staircase after smashing the jug and basin in our room.
But the lights dimming, the windows flying open and the cold air. Well, Crockett's often been present when these things happen.
Yes. Well, I haven't worked out how yet. But the who is fairly obvious. Third time you've been through that box.
I know. Let's move away from that fire. Tommy will drop off.
Oh, well, I'm taking it slow because I'm testing for invisible ink. Shows up against the heat.
Not so far, darling.
Anything in particular struck you yet?
2 receipted bills, 3 unimportant letters, 1 recipe for preserving new potatoes, and 1 for lemon cheesecake.
Oh.
What's the matter?
Food. You know I can't think on an empty stomach.
Oh, you missed lunch too, didn't you? Although I must say, when I think back on Albert's magnificent hamper, well, I'm quite grateful not to. Still, look what it's going to prove.
Oh, yes, I know. Crockett's guilt. Appalling food and no spooks. A winning combination to confirm it. I'd still rather have had a good dinner.
Well, throw yourself into your work. Come on, read me yours.
1 bill, 1 poem on spring, 2 newspaper articles, Why Women Buy Pearls, a sound investment, and Man with 4 Wives. Extraordinary story. Oh, and a recipe for jugged hare.
4 wives.
Oh, and I put this aside because it struck me as peculiar. Although I don't suppose it's got anything to do with what we're looking for.
Let's have a look. Oh, it's one of those funny things, you know, what do you call them? Anagrams or charades or something. My first you put on glowing coal, and into it you put my whole. My second really is the first. My third mislikes the winter blast.
Don't think much of the poet's rhyme.
Let's see what's so peculiar about it, though. Everyone used to collect that sort of thing about 50 years ago. Save them up for an evening round the fire.
No, I wasn't referring to the verse. It's the words below it that struck me as peculiar. Now, look. St. Luke 11, verse 9.
It's a text.
Yes, I know. But doesn't that strike you as odd? I mean, would an old lady of a religious persuasion write a text just under a charade?
Yes, I suppose that is rather odd.
I suppose that you, being a clergyman's daughter, haven't got your Bible with you?
As a matter of fact, I have.
Oh.
Didn't expect that, did you? Now, let's see. Luke, chapter 11, verse 9. 7, 8, 9.
Tommy! Tommy, look!
Seek, and ye shall find.
That's it! I got it! Oh, Tom, isn't that wonderful? Solved the cryptogram and the treasure's ours. Well, Monica.
Yes. Well, let's get to work on this cryptogram, or whatever it is you call it. Now, my first you put on glowing coal. Whatever does that mean, I wonder? And into it you put my whole. That's pure jewelry.
It's quite simple, really. It's just a knack. Now, look, give it to me. My first you put on glowing coal. Glowing coal, glowing coal.
Quite simple, really.
Don't crow. It's just that I'm the wrong generation, that's all.
I've a good mind to take it up to town tomorrow. Let some old pussy have a go. Probably solve it quick as a wink.
Perhaps you'd like to take it to Monica's mother. Or downstairs to that old rabbit Crockett. Bet she'd solve it in double quick time.
All right, come on then. Let's have another try.
Now, there aren't many things you can put on glowing coal. Water to put it out, wood, or kettle.
Has to be 1 syllable, I suppose. How about wood, then?
Couldn't put anything into wood, though.
Well, there's no 1 syllable word instead of water. But there must be 1 syllable things you can put on a fire in the kettle line.
Saucepan? Frying pan? How about pan? Or pot? Think of a word beginning pan or pot that is something you can cook.
Pottery. Well, you could bake that on a fire. Wouldn't that be near enough?
No, the rest doesn't fit. Pancakes? Pancakes? Oh, no. Oh, bother!
Trouble is, I'm so hungry I can hardly think. You saying pancakes has rather brought it all back again. What a rotten dinner. Or lack of it. Minuscule strip of mutton and 1 veg.
Sweet, faithfully cooked to an old-school recipe.
No potatoes, no carrots, not even a Brussels sprout. What's the matter, old bean?
That's it. The word I mean, potato. My first you put on glowing coal, pot. And into it you put my whole. My second really is the first, that's A, pot A, the first letter of the alphabet. My third mislikes the winter blast. Cold toes. Of course. Potatoes!
Very clever. The only trouble is we've wasted an awful lot of time over nothing. You see, potatoes don't fit in at all with missing treasure. Wait a sec, though.
Keep new potatoes. Put the new potatoes in tins and bury them in the garden. Even in the middle of winter, they will taste as though freshly dug.
Tuppence, you're a miracle. To think it's just out there, waiting for us to dig up.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, but not just now. The morning will be soon enough.
Oh, but I'm much too excited to sleep now.
Oh, good.
Why that gardener misled us so yesterday.
Oh, he didn't mean to. He just didn't answer you correctly, that's all.
What are you talking about?
Well, haven't you noticed? People never really answer what you say. They answer what they think you really mean instead. He knew he hadn't buried anything out of the ordinary. Just potatoes. Oh, come on.
Someone appears to have been here already.
But how could they know? Do you think they found the treasure?
Well, if they haven't, it was never here in the first place.
Goodness me, what long faces. Was the bed in the dressing room so uncomfortable, Mr. Blunt? I bet you'll never guess what this is. A note from Dr. O'Neill. He's increasing his offer by £150.
Is he, by Jove?
Oh, goodness me, Mother's bell. Oh, look at the time, and I haven't taken her tray up yet. She's got a Christmas card. That'll buck her up, poor darling.
A ghost of a chance, Tuppence. A ghost. Race is on again. And this time I mean us to win. Hello? Here comes our second piece of good luck today. You know what to ask him. Give him the treatment. Off you go. Oh, and head him off before he sees the kitchen garden and has a seizure.
Mr. Mulberry, good morning. What a surprise. I thought you only came once a week now.
I just came for my box, milady.
Box? Oh, but I thought you said...
No. Not the kind of box you was asking about yesterday. My Christmas box.
Oh, of course. Do you mind if I walk with you?
No, I don't mind. I'm just off down to see my vegetables.
Nothing quite like a Christmas dinner. Except that sometimes I wish we could have different vegetables to the conventional sprouts and roasts. New potatoes. Now, wouldn't they be delicious with turkey? Do people around here ever bury them in tins? I've heard that keeps them fresh.
Oh, aye, that they do, milady. Oh, Miss Dean, she always had 3 tins buried every summer. And as often as not forgot to have them dug up again.
Oh, in the, large bed in the kitchen garden, wasn't it?
Oh, no, milady. 'Twas just there, by that wall.
Mr. Mulberry.
That's the meadow.
That's the wood.
I can't dig up there.
What's she up to?
Soon find out, won't we? Got to tell someone, hasn't she?
Tommy, I found... Tommy, that was brilliant. How did you discover it?
Monica said that the curtains were always blown outward. That normally, with an open window, the cold air would blow them inward. Well, I just noticed the central heating vents and it all added up.
Masterly.
Thank you. Anyway, what were you doing? Getting poor old Mulberry pointing every which way.
You were watching. Well, so was someone else. At least I'm pretty sure they were. I suddenly got the most creepy feeling. So when he told me where he'd hidden the tins, I simply asked him where the sun rose, where it set, and whereabouts in the sky you could see the clouds.
Quick thinking, Tuppence.
Thanks. When do you think it'll be safe to start digging?
Not until after dark. I intend to enlist reinforcements. Monica's Gerald can stand lookout for us, with the help of one other, of course.
Surveillance, Mr. Rush. That's our game. Always the prelude to an exciting climax. Do you see Lon Chaney in The Blackbird? He was this limehouse thief, you see. Used a second identity, a cripple, to spy on the houses he was gonna burgle. Anyway, one night, after it killed a copper, he takes up his disguise as usual. Finds his joints all locked. Permanent. It was so dramatic. I'll never forget the look on his face.
I never knew digging could sound so loud. I say, Tommy.
What?
Out here at night, one could almost start to believe the stories about that house. Go on digging.
You call out, you're a dead man.
Damn.
Third time lucky.
I believe the whole thing's a mare's nest.
Thank you, Houdini.
it about. At last. Open the loop, Mrs. Beresford. All she could get. In gold, I suppose. Open the other. Oh, there must be £20,000 at least.
Shall I?
Please do. I don't know much about these things. They must be worth another 5,000 at least.
Oh, and look at the size of them.
Now I know why that old lady kept the cutting about pearls being a good investment.
Oh, Tom, isn't it wonderful? Now Monica can marry her darling young man and live happily ever after, just like me.
Not for much longer, Lady Grasmere. The sound of a 12-bore going off around here will bring no one running. Now, I'll take the cash, please, and the notes at my feet. You'd better start digging, Mr. Beresford, and make it a hole big enough for two. Why, Lady Grasmere, you're still holding the pearls. Let me relieve you of them, won't you?
Well done, Albert. Tarzan the Ape Man.
Douglas Fairbanks in the Black Pirate.
Jolly good. Now fetch the police, will you? Tuppence, the money.
How?
Tuppence, if you really love me, will you answer me one question?
No, I hate these catches, but all right.
How did you know Monica Dean was a clergyman's daughter?
Oh, that was just cheating. I opened her letter making an appointment. And Mr. Dean was father's curate once, and he had a daughter called Monica, so I put two and two together and just hoped for the best.
You're a shameless creature. Hello. 12 o'clock striking. Happy Christmas, Tuppence.
Happy Christmas, Tommy. And it'll be a happy Christmas for Monica, too, and all because... Oh, Monica, happy Christmas. You look... Is poor Gerald all right?
Yes. Oh, yes, thank you. The police doctor said he must have a remarkably thick skull. Your brave Albert is kindly driving him home. He's just a little stunned, that's all. And so am I.
Has anything happened?
We're engaged.
Oh, Monica, that's wonderful. Congratulations.
First class. Hold on, I've got just the thing to celebrate this. I found something in your cellar, Monica. Good old Gerald. Fancy popping the question after a bash on the head like that. Shows stamina.
Come on, Monica. Out with it.
I might have known. Well, it's just that Gerald didn't exactly pop it.
Not exactly.
I was so worried that when he learnt the full extent of my new means that...
He'd be frightened, or?
His pride, you see. He's so very masculine.
Yes, I had noticed.
So I rather took things into my own hands and...
Popped the question yourself.
Well, actually, yes. Was that too dreadful of me?
No, of course not. Very sensible. Girl sees what she wants, she should have it.
Oh, thank you.
Here we are. Ice cold, too. Oh, your mother is ringing, Monica, but I don't think Crockett is going to answer for a good many years.
Yes, well, I'll just go and settle her down. I shan't tell her my news tonight. It would only overexcite her.
You know, I admire that girl. Hardly out from under the strain, yet able to take a decision on marriage. Just like that.
remarkable.
Yes. Still, you're two of a kind. Daughters of clergymen. I should recognize your qualities by now. Unpredictable, loyal, practical,
Very determined.
and damned attractive.
Oh!